Welcome to Conversations from the Edge of Consciousness. I'm your host, Christine Madera. For me, and possibly for you, the inner world of consciousness has always been much more real and way more fun than the so-called real material world. Growing up, I thought I was alone in this, but I'm not. There are a lot of us, and far too many have no one to talk to who shares this experience. I've been lucky to cultivate a community of friends who love to talk about the energies, ideas, and vibrations that are pushing the edges of our own consciousness, as well as our collective consciousness. In Conversations from the Edge, we share our conversations with you. Hello, welcome to Conversations from the Edge. This is Christine Madera, your host, and I have today our guest, Miche Meisner. So thank you for being here again, Miche. It's really great to have you here. I think people are going to be excited about what we're talking about.
Yeah, I love just conversing and letting things come forward, and we've both been doing a lot of exciting, interesting stuff. So I can't wait to get into this topic with you.
Yes. So when we first talked to Miche, we talked about spoon bending, and I had alluded to the fact that, she kind of like gone way off the reservation from spoon bending and was into some other stuff. And so we decided instead of talking about the stuff like in between, we're just going to go straight to the edge, right? So tell people what you're doing, like, and this is new for you. Like this has been coming in for about a year or so, right? This whole new process and energy and expansion. So tell us a little bit about that before we dive deep into it.
Right. Yeah. Actually, not even quite a year yet. So, my work is as a healer and a mentor and a coach. I've been doing energy work for many years. I've studied lots of different modalities, but this last March, so not a year yet, I got a download from who I recognized as sort of the guides who have been working with me when I do healing. I always felt like I had this kind of group of beings who mostly just kept an eye out. They were sort of like if like in an operating room gallery, they were like up watching what was going on down there. And I just always felt like, if I screwed up too bad, they would come in and, help make things right. But other than that, they were just kind of honest, just sort of like nodding, maybe giving me a little approval, but that was about it. But this last March, with a friend of mine, Andy, who is also a medium and a channel, she started bringing through who I immediately recognized to be those group of guides of mine. And together got this whole download of a process, a protocol, or a model. And the model is that if you imagine that we each come into this lifetime in an enormous, huge cosmic bubble of our own. And it's like our own space bubble. Like if you were out, in space on like a moonwalk or whatever, you would need, your oxygen, you'd need temperature regulation and all of that. So on sort of a soul level, that's what this bubble is giving you energetically, like your atmosphere and containing you. But it's enormous, and it's not like, so mostly when people do energy work or receive energy work, it's like, on your person, on your physical body or on your sort of mental or etheric body. It could be off your body, but to me, it's like close in. And what I was given, what I'm working on is what is between that and like your soul and your non-physical self, the rest of you that has not incarnated, on earth. Talk about getting edgy, right? That there's only like a small piece of the totality of who you are is actually here having this particular lifetime. And so I was given guidance to sort of go into this space, this enormous space, and clear things out and calibrate things and remove things and shift things for people. And it's sort of, I think of it as sort of like the debris. Like if you were, living in your car for a month and eating sandwiches and really like living in it, there would be, dirty clothes all over and, empty soda, straws and bags and, whatnot. And you
Yeah.
may be fed and you may be clean, but all around you is like all this stuff, that you've kind of used up, but it's still laying around there. And so what I believe that I'm doing is
Mm-hmm.
going into this big space and clearing all of that out and making way for you to really expand into the full current version of you. And
Yes.
we're changing, right? Things are changing. We've talked about coming into this um, galactic arena where energies are different and the
Yeah.
magnetics are different,
Well,
right?
let's
And so
pause
this,
here for a moment. So,
yes,
because there's a lot, it's a lot at one time, but I want to
yeah,
highlight that part that you just said though, because it can sound really like airy fairy out there, kind of, crazy, edgy stuff. But it's true in time and space that we are actually, as a solar system and whatever larger system there is around us, are moving into a different part of our physical galaxy. And the energies in the old part of the galaxy that we were in, we had much more shielding and protection and kind of debris between us and the galactic center. And as we're moving into this new quadrant or this new area in relationship to that galactic center, this is an actual physical astrological movement, and not astrological like astrology, but, or make us astronomical, I guess it would be, movement into new parts of the galaxy where we have never been before. And we do not have the same level of shielding of in this place. So the energies radiating from the galactic center in a very real physical material sense are very different than the ones that we've been leaving behind. And so this is not just some kind of idea. This is actually really what is happening as we are moving through space and time.
mm-hmm, right. And our body responds to that or doesn't
Yes.
respond, doesn't know how to respond. And so I feel like a lot of what's happening in these cosmic clearings is the galactic portion of that is calibrating
Mm-hmm.
our receptors, but on our physical earthbound sort of self, but also on the greater, in the greater expanse, how things enter into our own energetic atmosphere, how we are able to read it and pick it up. Sometimes I feel like it's like sort of a spaceship, and I'm adjusting, the dials and the band, the frequency band, so that we can pick up the new stations properly. Like, driving down the road and you're coming into the area of some new radio station and you need to fiddle with the dial to be able to pick it up and understand the words
Yeah.
or the song or whatever. So it's kind of like
Well,
that too.
yeah, and in the whole idea of like the whole quantum field, which is that field of energy that we're in, as a localized experience in the quantum field, like that's who we are in a physical body. To me, is a localized experience in this quantum field, where in the fields where anything can happen, where all these energies are, and we are having this experience, and we know from quantum physics that your experience in the localized field is based on your expectations. And we have layers and layers and layers and layers of expectations that we have been taught, that are wired into our brain, that are wired into our nervous system, that are wired into our society, that are wired into our families, that are wired in. And we've got these huge amounts of preset expectations that are bringing or coming to focus in our particular life, that are incompatible with this new energy. And so when you're
Yes.
doing these cleanses, all just coming through right now, right? So when when you're doing these clearings, the way that I'm understanding it is that you're actually helping to decouple our old expectations so that they are not intruding upon this new place of possibility and this new reality, so that we're sort of cleaning out all of those things that aren't going to work in this new reality and this new energy anyway. So if we decouple that, if we let those go, and then we can move into and calibrate in this new energy field, so that we're able to operate as a local entity, from a place where the expectations, ideally not the same kind of expectations, but that sort of moving
Well,
forward. Go ahead.
the possibilities,
That's the word.
the capacities. Yeah.
Yeah, so that we're living in that place of possibility and allowing life to be lived through us, which we talked about last time. Is life,
Hmm.
life lives itself through us. The quantum field lives itself through our local experience. But when we're trying to dictate that local experience, and we've got thousands of layers of expectations dictating that experience, it doesn't much doesn't happen. It's different. Like kind of every day is the same. It's all the same struggle.
Hmm.
And if you
Right.
eliminate that and you calibrate to the new energies and you come into that place of possibility and you allow life to live itself through you, which is really what's happening. When I look at people who are actually allowing that energy to flow, like it's like I'm not even on holding the handlebars anymore. I am just riding that wave, and I'm going to places I never imagined I would go to. Things are happening in my life, things are coming to me, serendipities are happening, my life's recreating itself. I'm not doing anything. I am just operating in this new system of possibility, and that's happening spontaneously to people who are not interested in this kind of stuff at all. They're just sort of open to the energy, like just subconsciously.
Right.
And it's happening
Hmm.
for people who are intentionally doing it, and for people who are really resisting it. There's a lot that's not going well, actually.
Right. Yeah.
Um,
Discomfort.
yeah,
Yeah. It's like,
yeah,
like it's changing, whether we're, acknowledging it or knowing it or pushing against it or whatever. It's like if you're in a room and somebody raises the temperature, it's going to get hotter. Your response to it, how you relate to that is, kind of up to you to whatever degree. Right. But
yeah.
it's not like, well, I don't believe it and therefore it's not hotter. No, I don't think so. You may
No,
be able to feel comfortable and at ease with the temperature change, but the temperature is changing. And
yes, absolutely.
so yes, the energetics are changing. The relationship
Hmm.
between energies is changing,
And the
and
speed
yeah.
with which we can recreate our life is changing, because it used to be that it was a lot slower. And
Yeah.
even if you were attuned to energy, unless you were highly attuned to stuff, the whole material world moved more slowly. And so we didn't have the same, the word that just came in was information flow. Like we just didn't have the
Yeah.
information to be able to make those changes. And now we're in an information age where we're inundated with information. And so we tend to select the information that gives us the bias that we have, so that we're not really choosing new information. We're just sort of streamlining this huge amount of information that's already moving us in the direction that we want to go. But it's overload. We can't do that anymore. There's this whole new level of being invited into, where information and possibility come together into creation. But we can't do that from that same level of directiveness and limited
Right.
expectation that we used to.
Right. Yeah, in the attunements, in the clearings, I talk about like a greater throughput, right? That the
Mm.
energy and the information coming into our biosphere, our cosmic biosphere,
Uh-huh.
is greater and more coherent. The more that
Yes.
the sort of, so that the model, the visual of this, this huge biosphere, like an enormous snow globe, let's say, and we're cleaning the glass and we're cleaning what's
Yeah.
inside so that the light and the information that's coming can come in more accurately, more
Mm-hmm.
coherently, and what we are putting out is also more coherent and more accurate and stronger. So it's a good time to not be, having the baggage and the debris kind of floating around, muddying the waters there.
Yeah, because
What?
coherence, I mean, there's a huge thing with coherence. And if people don't know what coherence is, it's really about the harmony of all of your systems working together, attuned to your heart energy, and that, which is the energy of the field, the energy of the quantum field. And so you can't actually be in coherence when you are also in expectation. They work against one another. And so when you're operating from all of these expectations, and particularly the hidden ones, the hidden expectation that life doesn't work for me, the hidden expectation that I'm going to get limited because I'm a woman, or because I've got this skin color, or this religion, or this, that, or the other, all these hidden expectations that come up are incompatible with coherence. And coherence is the language of the energies that we're moving into.
Right. And coherence is like additive, so that the
Mm-hmm.
various waves, the wave that your heart's putting out, the wave that your brain's putting out, when they are in harmony, they're
Mm-hmm.
creating something greater, like an orchestra that is
Yeah.
in harmony, and that they're,
Yes.
on time together, that they're in tune together. And so in that sort of way too, just within our own personal system, but then also coordinating that with the greater, with the galactic system that we're in.
Yeah.
It just focuses and strengthens our energetics and our presence, and what we're capable of achieving even.
And it's
So one of
all,
the,
go ahead.
yeah, finish your sentence.
Oh, I was just going to say, and it's all really present moment oriented. Like expectation
Yes.
is all about the past. All this debris is all of the, the past expectations or whatever limitations, all these things that we bring that keep us out of the present moment. That when we can release those and we can be in that coherence and that symphony of the present moment with possibility, like that's where we're moving into. And that's what people, and if you're not connected with people who are doing this, there's a lot of groups of people who are doing this. Heart Math is doing this. Dr. Joe Dispenza is doing this. There's the Oneness University is doing this. There's a lot of small pockets of people around the world who are doing this in various different kinds of versions of
Mm-hmm.
moving into this new space. And so it's a worldwide phenomenon that you may or may not be tapped into at this point.
Yeah, right. It's definitely happening and increasing, and the idea of like critical mass being reached
Mm-hmm.
at some point, where it just sort of becomes this wave that takes over the energetics. One of the things that's also really unique about the cosmic attunement, that I like, that relates just to this, is the idea that when I'm working with somebody, oftentimes there's a lot of stuff, there's debris and old energy that sort of just gets like thrown away, let's say,
Mm-hmm.
or discarded in one way or another, diffused. And then there's usually some other where the imagery for me is like I'm kind of gathering it up, maybe it's
Mm-hmm.
like, raking up dead leaves, or some sort of gathering of this old spent energetic, or it's trauma, or it's trigger. And as I sort of compact it, I wind up with this crystalline ball or gem of some sort, and am shown by my guides or your guides maybe where to place that virtually, in your energetic body or whatever. And
Mm-hmm.
what this is, what this sphere or gem is the essence, the essential wisdom and power and knowledge and growth that you attained through these experiences. And often, what I'm clearing up there are all their traumas, their difficulties or illnesses, or just plain rotten experiences that you survived through.
Mm-hmm.
And often they rule us in a negative way of holding us back and keeping us triggered and keeping us trying to avoid having that experience again or whatever. And so this is clearing all of that out, all the storyline and the pain and the experience, and just leaving you with any benefit that you gained while you were living through it. Any, like I was saying, the wisdom or the strength, or,
Yeah.
just information, but without the trigger. And so this, in that same way, is bringing you what is available to you and useful to you in the present moment. All the
Yes.
past storyline, the past trauma of it is getting cleared out, and you're just left with, it's like the up leveling of it without, any of the difficulty of it. And
It,
add that to who you are today in present version.
that's perfect, because I heard this great little short snippet that when you decouple the emotional content from an experience, what you are left with is wisdom. And so that's
Mm-hmm.
exactly what you're talking about. That if you take away all of the emotional impact, then you have what you've known, what you've learned, the wisdom, the knowledge, the knowing, the gift that you can then use to support you in that time. So why don't you give us a little flavor of this? Can you give us a little kind of cosmic mini experience?
Yeah. And so rather than go with the whole enormous cosmic biosphere, as sort of a taster, I like to take people into your own personal snow globe, right?
Okay.
And you can imagine this globe being as close in or as far out as you like. Um, but it's sort of like your own little biodome, let's say. And it's your space, it's your energetic. And so take you into there and give you some tools maybe to make some changes and to look
Perfect.
around. So, all right. So just, be comfortable in your seat, and definitely, if you're driving, don't do this now. Check it out later. If you're operating, a handsaw or a Cuisinart, not a good time to do this. Just give yourself give yourself a few minutes here
No heavy
and
machinery.
just
Close your eyes. Censor.
yeah, right. Close your eyes, be comfortable, take a nice deep breath. And as you breathe out, just release any dis-ease or discomfort that you may be feeling, and just breathing in, drawing in love and light, and imagining that you are surrounded by this vast and airy, spacious snow globe. And in this snow globe, it contains you, your life, your space, your furnishings, your belongings. And so as you just become more present, and you're maybe a little calmer and more focused in just this moment, in what you notice, you might look around, imagine looking around in your snow globe. And it's up to you. If your snow globe is only the size of a room, then just maybe turn your head and look around. If your snow globe is the size of your neighborhood, you might want, I don't know, a little motor scooter or a car or a bike or, a kite, whatever, to look around and just notice how do things feel? What feels um, harmonious to you? What feels right? What just settles in with you peacefully? And what are you seeing or noticing that feels uncomfortable? What might be, poking out of some corner that's just old stuff, and maybe you just don't want it anymore. So you have the ability and the capacity, and you have permission to rearrange in this snow globe whatever and whomever you want, right? This is your energetic, sort of your virtual reality, which also translates and transcends into your quote real reality. It will have effect. But it won't, like, you could, remove a building. It doesn't mean you're going to walk down that same block tomorrow on your way to work and that building will be gone. But energetically speaking, you can shift that energetic. And so just from a place of centered awareness and of being sovereign in this space, you are the authority here. This is your space, and you are free to remove or rearrange or redistribute as you see fit. And you can use whatever imagery or metaphor feels right or comes to mind. If you're getting rid of something, do you need a big old garbage truck to back up to your snow globe because you got so much that you want to delete? Do you need an eject button to get rid of something? Can you snap your fingers and change the color of the space you're in if you would rather have something more soothing than what you see currently? And in this first time, you might want to just focus on one particular section or item, or look at maybe some certain thing in your past that you would like to remove or change how it sits in your present, or if it sits in your present at all. This is a space that you can come back to at any time. And so you can take another moment, look around. Is there something that you want to change? Is there something there you want to acknowledge and appreciate? Something you want more of that you would like to bring in? And as a last thing to do on this first trip, you might want to see how you would like to enter and exit this space in the future. Does it just pop up around you? Do you open a door and step in? How do you access this space of your snow globe? And how would you like to leave it? To acknowledge it? And to honor the changes and awarenesses, maybe new awarenesses, new decisions that may have come while you were in it. So another moment to close out your experience. And return to your awareness in this room, in your seat, in your body in this moment. Take another deep breath and wiggle your hands and your feet. Become fully present, grounded in this moment. And like in the cosmic attunement or galactic calibrations in your cosmic biosphere, changes have actually occurred in your energy now, and they will ripple out and show themselves in various ways in your everyday life. And so be open and present and noticing what's new and what's different.
Wow, that was really cool.
Great.
So you are probably going to cue people to open their eyes, but if you haven't yet, you can open your eyes.
Yep, open your eyes. Do be present. Do come back and join us, and make sure you're grounded before you drive or do anything.
Do your next thing. And I did get a cosmic attunement from you, a cosmic calibration from you, pretty not too long after you started doing them, and it was amazing. And it's still something that I come back to, and I come back into my bubble, and I come in and I kind of explore different things because it was so big. And in this particular one, there was interesting because it was an area that was not really illuminated. And I thought, well, okay, was this something that is like, dark that needs to be shifted? It's like, well, no, this was something that just needed illumination. And so but the thing about these kinds of things I wanted to say is that you don't have to know what things are. You can actually work representationally with these energies, and your subconscious mind and your energy understands metaphor. So for me, I illuminated the area, and I just had a garden grow there, because I didn't, it's new in an illumination. I don't need to know or to try to figure out what it was that was coming in. It needed to be illuminated. I just needed to illuminate it, bring the sunshine in, and imagine the garden growing, which is a signal to my subconscious that I'm ready for this to grow. I'm ready to see this. I'm ready to know what this is. And so I just wanted to offer that out to people in case if they're like I often am, and they try to figure it out cognitively, because that
Right.
really just gets in the way. Because
Right.
it's allowing it to happen as opposed to trying to make it happen. And once you can get that, like, your whole life changes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a beautiful example. And what came to you in this, the imagery of the metaphor or whatever is perfect, and it holds the energy.
Mm-hmm.
If we all spoke energy, you would have put that same energy into that space as you did representationally, through your garden and through the growth.
Yeah.
And it's the same. I mean, it's language, right? What
Yes.
we our emotions and our visuals and our experience is a language of energy.
Yeah. And
So each
energy
of us.
responds much better to visual, like, well, to imagery, even if it's not everybody's visual. So visual imagery, or another kind of like a sound in it, however you experience the imagery, is actually really energy really responds to that much better than it does if you're trying to tell it what to do with language.
Right. Yeah. It's like spoken language is much
Yeah.
more limited
Yeah.
than what else we are able to create and emanate. And we are always emanating
Mm-hmm.
energy, the energy of, where we're at. And so changing something like that, and the response that you have then to that dark space, which is now a garden, it's a feedback loop, right? So
Yeah.
now it's feeding you literally in a different way. So
Yeah.
that's beautiful. And I recommend that people, play with that kind of thing all the time, wherever. You don't have to be in a snow globe. You could be actually in traffic,
No, you don't. But the snow globe is a great imagery, and I have to say the Galactic Attunement is really powerful. So why don't you tell us how people can actually find out more about that and get their own Galactic Attunement if that's something that really resonates with them?
Yeah, well, I actually, let's see, a couple of ways to get there. I will give you a link. Here we are back at the, I will give you a link, but
And there will always be
attunements
links
are,
of all these things at conversationsfromtheedge.net as well. Sorry, I forgot to say that last time. So now back to you. What's your link?
right. And so actually, Christine, I will give you a link, and I will also give you a code along with that link,
Oh,
so
perfect.
that any of the listeners here can get a really great discount on their attunement.
Oh,
Uh,
excellent.
yeah, it's worth every penny anyway, but it's always nice
Yes.
to get a break.
Yes.
So yeah. Right. And for anyone who may be listening who's already had an attunement, the follow-up work that people tend to want to do,
Mm-hmm.
we call them tune-ups. And it's a combination of energy work and coaching and consulting to help you maintain, this the kind of experience that you may have just had with it in your snow globe, how to keep bringing that into everyday life, the ease and the imagery and the shifting and the magic, how to make that a regular part of your life.
Yes.
So,
And because
yeah.
that's a whole different way to create your life. It's so much easier than applying the trying and the effort.
Right. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much. So you can find those links at conversationsfromtheedge.net. And then it will take you to whatever page is going to give you that information. So thank you again, Miche. I'm looking forward to our next conversation. I already have some ideas about what I want to talk with you about. And I know from our own
Great.
personal experience that we could talk for hours and hours. So it's nice that we break these up so that, they're contained.
Right. if if people are break anyway. Yeah, I love talking
Yeah.
with you, Christine. I look forward to the next one.
All right. Well, we'll talk again soon. Thank you again for being here and for being so generous with your attunement.
Absolutely.
This is your host, Christine Madeira. I hope you've enjoyed this conversation from the edge of consciousness. You can find all our conversations at conversationsfromtheedge.net. You'll also find links to schedule a private conversation with me or any of my friends, as well as tools to help you expand your own consciousness and explore what's possible for you outside the boundaries of your current perceptions. Feel free to use this podcast to start your own conversation by sharing it with friends, on social media, in your blog, or even in your own podcast. And as always, live the adventure of pushing your own edge. It's the most amazing adventure there is.